Laps on the table, coffee gone cold, circles in red ink, stories you were told, whispers in a stairwell, names you never say, every move recorded, filed and tucked away. You talk like you're taking out shadows, like it's just checking a box, moving on, but every face you erase in your diary stays burned in the back of your thoughts. You talk like it's easy, like breathing, like the world turns right when they're gone, but you can't wash off what you're dreaming when the night drags you back to the start. Headlines on loop, heroes for a day, flags on the screen, static in the grave, glory in the briefing, spit shine, sharp smiles, then quiet in the mirror, you flinch every time. You talk like you're taking out shadows, like it's just checking a box, moving on, but every face you erase in your diary stays burned in the back of your thoughts. You talk like it's easy, like breathing, like the world turns right when they're gone, but you can't wash off what you're dreaming when the night drags you back to the start. Who writes the ending? Who gets the blame? Is it ink on paper or blood on a name? You say it's bigger than you, then stare straight ahead, but the greater good you whisper keeps counting your dead. You talk like you're taking out shadows, like it's just checking a box, moving on, but every face you erase in your diary stays burned in the back of your thoughts. You talk like it's easy, like breathing, like the world turns right when they're gone, but you can't wash off what you're dreaming when the night drags you back to the start. pick it up, let it roll. Stars and stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel, heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe or we don't talk at all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We back the bad, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. You can cancel the show, but not the crowd. We're still here, still talking loud. Hand of the free on every spell. Hit that mic, host, let the truth ring out. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rail from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell.
Alrighty then, are you ready, everybody? Good morning, welcome. It is a Wednesday, and yeah, we are digging it indeed. I'm just playing with all the little buttons here to see everything that I have going. Trying to see what happens when I play one over another, and I didn't get a chance to hit that one, but good morning. Let's crank it up and let it roll. We have Senator Jon Husted going to be joining me this morning toward the end of the show at about 8:30. We have a lot of stuff to fill between now and then. But Senator Jon Husted will be joining us for the first time since we left corporate radio for the podcast live stream space. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. Senator Husted, by the way, is the one who presented the bill that is apparently going to be voted on, according to what we're hearing from the Senate, to separate out the SAVE Act, to separate the two provisions, the photo ID and then the citizenship at registration. Obviously, those are two different issues. The goal is obviously the same, and that is to make sure that our elections are integrity based and that they can be indeed, we can be assured that they're only being voted upon. Our elections are being held for American citizens only, and that everybody only votes once, that everybody has to be alive, that everybody can, the photo ID thing is about as simplistic as it gets. It's when you get into the registration one that they've been freaking out on. So Senator Husted wisely said, okay, freakouts, let's at least get the photo ID done. You said you don't oppose that. Let's hit that. So that is going to be voted on tomorrow. And then the other half of the SAVE Act, who knows? Maybe it will be worked into a reconciliation bill as far as the guaranteeing that people are American citizens and having to prove it so. Democrats are acting like they've never seen a birth certificate before. They have no idea what to do about how to find a birth certificate. It's kind of embarrassing, shockingly, right? So we're going to get into that with Senator Husted and a whole lot more. So that's coming up at 8:30. But the first hour and a half is going to be chock full of plenty of news and conversation that we need to have with one another by way of the chat. So good morning to the chatters. Take a little look inside and see what's happening in the early going. Obviously, a whole lot of good mornings, but a few comments early going as well, including my auto post from Facebook. There it is. So frustrated by that. Before I get into the chat, you know the drill. Flip calendar quote of the day, March 25th, quote, "The price of success is hard work, dedication to the job at hand, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the best of ourselves to the task at hand." That little piece of motivation and inspiration came from legendary NFL coach Vince Lombardi. That's 2 in a row. Yesterday was Super Bowl winning coach Tom Flores. Today, it's one of the greatest of all time for whom the Super Bowl trophy is named, the Lombardi Trophy, after Vince Lombardi. I can get with that. All right, good morning to our friends in the chat. So let's have a quick look-see before we get into the heavy news and say what's happening. Bob, ask Senator Husted. Oh, hold on. That one's Pray for the United States. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to show from the same individual, B. Morgan. Ask the senator what we can do as American citizens to help pass the Save America Act. And I suspect I know the answer, rather. The answer is probably not much. Other than calling them and banging the phones and their email, fill up their email. I think we've talked about this before. One letter or call from a constituent is typically regarded in political circles and in elected officials' offices as 1,000, because they presume, and I don't know what political science they practice to get to this, but they have decided and presumed that one call from somebody who is so outraged and motivated enough to make that call or email is worth 1,000. 999 others feel the same way, but just aren't picking up the phone and aren't making the typing out the email. So that's probably what the answer is going to be. Make as much noise as possible to them, and that's what, of course, one of the action items that we give them all the time on my 5 things to do this week is contact them and literally make yourself a pain in the rear end. They're not going to read everybody's, but they're going to count them. They're going to have staffers at least skimming every email that comes in and then tallying how many came in. If 100 emails come in on a particular piece of legislation you want them to pass in Columbus or in Washington, D.C., they're going to count 100 times 1,000. Get it? They're going to say there's 100,000 people here who feel this way. And that can lead them to vote a certain kind of way. So that's probably at this point what our mission is going to be. But I'll ask him. I'll ask Senator Husted that very good question. All right. Good morning. Let's roll indeed, DB Jones. We are off and running already. Good morning, RH Ron. Good morning to Sally. I hope when this mess is over, TSA agents who quit can get reinstated. I do too. What these people had to do is quit their jobs in order to go take a paying job. It's been almost, 2 months? It's been a month and a half, some 30, 40, some odd days that they haven't been paid. Some of them had to quit so they can go get jobs that'll pay them. But when this whole thing ends, not only should they get back pay, those who quit should be reinstated. Great message. Good morning, all, from Rosebud. Far West Sider, just remember there's always employee turnover that would normally occur. I would expect the number to be larger than normal turnover because some are fed up not being paid because of politics. Yeah, but I think all of these people who have quit in the last 30 days it's not normal employee turnover. I think that's people who are quitting because they're not being paid. And I get it. I do. I mean, look, you go without a check for 30, 45 days. The mail doesn't stop coming, right? The electricity bill is still going to show up. So is the gas bill. So is your gas bill at the pumps for your car. Your mortgage statement is not going to go away. Your student loan bills, if you're working TSA as a young person, those are still coming. You understand the point? I mean, try to get through life. Try going to the grocery store and having to max out your credit cards. By the way, is the government going to pay for the interest on those? If you're a TSA worker, especially those who are still showing up at the job, then they're getting some 30, 40% of them calling off. And again, I can't blame them because maybe they got to go find some other work. Maybe they got to do some under the table work, something to get some income. But think about that. for just a minute. If you are not getting paid for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5, 6 weeks, which is what it is for many of them, and what are you going to do? You're going to buy your groceries with your credit card, probably. If your bank account is down, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, for some people, if you've got savings built up, God love you and God bless you and congrats. You're very fortunate. Not everybody does. And they're living paycheck to paycheck. And if the paycheck isn't there, they got to buy groceries and buy other things on their credit cards. And guess what? Now the credit cards are maxed out or up at $2,000, $3,000, $6,000, $8,000, depending on how long this goes. And you're going to end up having to pay interest and penalties if you're late on the payments, because again, you're still not getting a paycheck. I think not only should they get their back pay, they should have all of those expenses covered for them as well. And here's the real, never happened, but I'm just going to say it. Every nickel of the extra that needs to come out to make them whole again should come from the paychecks of the Democratic senators who are responsible for this. The Democrat Party and every Democrat that voted against funding DHS on the House side too. Everybody that votes against this, everybody that is trying to stop DHS from being paid until DHS from being funded until ICE suffers significant reforms, every one of them should have to pay the bill. Seriously, that's just the way that it's got to be. To some TSAs, this gives them new opportunities in the job market. Who knows? Maybe they transition to ICE. You know what? Although I can tell you probably not, because when I talked to Tricia McLaughlin last, again, 220,000 applications came in for ICE, which was hiring 10,000. So there's 210,000 people that didn't get jobs. So chances are very good that they're not hiring too many new TSA transfers right about now. Good morning, Black Belt. Good morning, Donna. I see Donna G there. DD, good morning. Hello to you as well. Just trying to skip through some of the formalities and the greetings, and I greet all of you, but looking for content here. Sally back on TSA again. I'm a little tired of seeing them and average citizens being held hostage when the Dems cannot get their way at the ballot box. Boom. Exactly correct. Thank you, Sally. Let's see. Number one Rhino says, there's our theme music. Thank you for Bob for adding Charlie Kirk and President Trump standing up when he yelled fight, fight, fight. Yeah, when I do that video, I put that in there at strategic places. I put Charlie in two spots for the lyric that says, we will not be scared into silence. Because Charlie Kirk knew that he was being targeted. He knew that he was being threatened every single day. He and his family traveled with security, knew he was being targeted, but still was not afraid. He was not going to be silenced. He still did what he did and made such a massive impact on this country in such a positive way. That's why he's up there for that lyric that says, we will not be scared into silence. And yeah, President Trump, of course, fight, 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 and speak with your loudest voices. Good morning, Trainer Doug. Good to see you. Number one Rhino, voter ID, and we need proof of citizenship. B. Morgan, yes, we do. CMG, Christine, isn't it relatively easy to get a fake photo ID? Yeah, it is, but they're a little bit harder now. I mean, it's not like when you and I were in college. If you got a fake ID, you weren't 21 yet. It was pretty easy to fool a doorman, but not so much if you're talking about voting. And I think they have made the IDs a lot more. There's like, what are they called? Like overlays or underlays, where there's like, I don't know why I'm flaking on the name of it, but the type of, it's not even embossed because it's not raised, it's a license, but you understand what I mean. Watermarked, I think it's the word, watermarked licenses, which are pretty easy to see when you hold them to light. And so they can see if it's a fake ID or a real ID. It's a lot harder to do that. It's kind of like bills. Counterfeit bills, you don't see a ton of counterfeit bills out there because the government has made them so high tech with respect to how they are printed. It's relatively, every time you give a big bill, a 20 or a 50 or 100, if you do that to, any basically store clerk when you're paying with cash for something, you notice how they got to turn it and look at it, and then they mark it with a pen to show that it's a legit one. They can tell in seconds. It's the same thing with cards now, ID cards, licenses, and so forth. Good morning, Mike, should say. Possibility of privatizing security at the airport. I don't know. Even if you privatized it, who's going to pay them? Somebody's going to have to pay them. That's going to have to come out of the budget, and the budget is what's not being funded by, DHS budget is not being funded by the Democrats. So I don't think it would matter that very much, to be honest with you. Florida Republicans lost a state house seat last night. I'll get to that. Don't worry. We'll get there. Congressional seat too. Temporary, but still it's there. And it's a message. It is absolutely a message. Yo, Jimbo's happy. We got Senator Husted on today. So am I. Good morning. I missed the Pledge of Allegiance. You know what, Queen Mother? I got to figure out how to do that too. And I only have it in audio format when I was doing the radio side. I'll have to get loaded up here too and put a little video behind it as well for the live stream side. I'm cool with that. What does that say? Is your concealed carry card a valid ID? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. That wouldn't be counted for when you're voting. It's got to be either a state ID card or it's going to have to be a driver's license, something issued. Well, I guess concealed carry is issued by the state too, but I don't think that would count. Before 9/11, TSA was privatized and later changed to federally run for better control. Okay. Good stuff, folks. You're off and running, and that's great. So we need to dive right in here. So like I said, I've got Senator Husted at 8:30. At the top of the hour, by the way, at 8 o'clock, I'm going to give everybody, I gave it to the insiders first taste of the Frontline Freedom Fest video. Our ICE Appreciation Party video is finally live. I posted it on my Facebook page after I gave it to the insiders, and now today for the first time on the live stream, I'm going to play that for everybody. It's only about 10 minutes long, but it's a real good recap and a look at what we did and why we did it. And I need you guys to take it, copy it, and flood the zone with it. Put it on all of your social media, make shorts out of it, which is what I'm in the process of doing too. Those are the short videos that people doom scroll on. We need to show them what it looks like to support ICE. Features the speakers, the presenters, the games, and so forth. But we need to show them what it looks like. It's really, really important that we do that. And so we will be doing that at 8 o'clock. I'll be putting the video on live at like I said, at the top of the hour. Okay, so what is the Senate doing? That was the headline of the piece today, as you can see, or the episode today, I should say. Senator John Thune said that he is going to keep the Easter recess in place, which means they're not going to be staying for whatever reason, through the Easter recess, if that's what it takes to get the government open again, to get DHS in particular open again, get it funded, get the SAVE Act passed. And it's really, really frustrating, to be honest with you. I don't understand what the goal is here by John Thune. I don't know if he is privately working against the Trump agenda or if he just feels handcuffed and can't do it, and he legitimately is trying his best. I don't really know. But what I do know is that I'm frustrated, and so are a whole lot of other people, with the fact that our Senate can't seem to get its act together between the DHS funding, separating them out, which is what they're going to have the vote on tomorrow. Is it going to be passable? Probably not, because you're still not going to get any Democrats to go along with you, even though Senator Husted, by the way, and I don't want to steal too much thunder away from the interview at 8:30, but Senator Husted correctly pointed out, let me see if I can share this. Yeah, correctly pointed out that the Democrats have said that they would be about just the photo ID part. They would be about just the photo ID part. It's the citizenship part that freaks them out. But here's what Senator Husted said. Hopefully you can see that okay on your screen. I'll zoom it up here the best I can. Quote from Chuck Schumer, Senator Jon Husted, quote, "Our objection as Democrats is not to a photo ID." And then Husted wrote, "I hope we can count on his vote and those of his Democratic colleagues so we can make America a place where it's easy to vote and hard to cheat." That's a damn strong statement, and it's exactly correct. Chuck Schumer, if your objection is not to photo ID, that means you should be voting for photo ID. That's as reasonable as anything can possibly be. Husted tweeted that in response to the announcement here from Burgess Evident, the Congressional Bureau Chief at Semaphore. Thune just set up a vote to advance the Husted Amendment, which is just voter ID, just the photo identification to vote, not the proof of citizenship part, for Thursday, and it will be at a 60 vote threshold. So, the question is, will they get any Democrats to back up what Chuck Schumer said here? Chuck Schumer made it very, very clear. Said, we're not opposed to a photo ID. Okay, Well, we'll take that. Your terms are acceptable. We will take that. But then again, remember, Chuck Schumer is a different guy today than he was back in 1996 when he said this. Hopefully you can see that. Okay.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card.
That was Chuck Schumer in 1996, and as
Let's
I
admit
posted
the
that
truth.
last night.
Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card.
So when I posted that up there last night, it was with the message, young Chuck Schumer says, pass the SAVE Act. I'm for it. But now that he has morphed into, some sort of parody of Montgomery Burns in his old evil years, now he's like, no, we can't have a photo identification. That's going to disenfranchise black people. Don't you know that it's Jim Crow 2.0? And away we go. So, by the way, I did a video last week. One of my Bob France Road rants, like this one, and that's not the one I want to focus on. Is this the one? Nope, that was Happy Obamacare Day. That was yesterday, Monday, actually. Is this the one? No, that one's about ICE. I did one the other day at some point last week that I'd like you to participate in, and maybe on the chat. And if you're not on the chat because you're not watching live, if you're watching this on playback later on, please get into the comments and participate in this. And what I did was I started talking about there it is. This is the one. All the different ways that I've been Jim Crowed. And I think that should be a new verb. Anytime somebody asks you for a driver's license, you should report that you've been Jim Crowed, Jim Crow 2.0. Because obviously everybody knows that asking for a driver's license is like reimposing Jim Crow laws, because it's impossible for black people to get driver's licenses, and it's just discriminatory, racially discriminatory. So this is the one from last week, and like I said, I just described some Jim Crow scenarios that I've endured or my family has endured, and I'd like to hear your stories of being Jim Crowed as well.
I can't believe it keeps happening over and over and over again. How many more times am I going to get Jim Crowed? I mean, I stop off at the drugstore on the way home. I didn't have my wallet with me, just my bank card. I figure I could pick up my Sudafed. I'm cheap. I get the generic pseudoephedrine. Try to buy some pseudoephedrine at the drugstore. You can't do it without your driver's license. Why? Apparently meth heads like to cook meth with the pseudoephedrine, so the government likes to track it. So I got Jim Crowed. I didn't have my driver's license. My son calls me. He's out drinking with his buddies. Told me, Dad, they freaking made me show my driver's license. It's like, what do you mean? Yeah, before I could buy alcohol, they wanted to make sure I was of age, and they made me show a driver's license. I got Jim Crowed. I said, yeah, bro, that's just the way it is now. And I took a check to the bank too. My wife told me to take out some cash because we're going to an event tonight. I go to deposit the check and I put cash back, a couple $100. And you know what they did to me? They Jim Crowed me. They told me, you can't give you cash back unless you show us your license. I had to have a driver's license. Don't they know how hard it is to get a driver's license? Don't they know how hard it is to get state ID? It's Jim Crow 2.0 everywhere I go.
So what about you? When's the last time you were Jim Crowed? I'd very much like to know that. We should know this before they vote tomorrow in the Senate on the Voter ID Act. That should be, everybody should share with them how difficult it is to get driver's licenses. And of course, it is with full and 100% tongue planted firmly in cheek, sarcastic, but I want to know, seriously, when's the last time you got Jim Crowed? Because obviously that's what the Democrats say is happening. All right. So that's what's going on with the Senate, at least part of what's going on with the Senate. I got a few other things we need to get to here. ICE at the airports. It's working. Bottom line is it's working. I've got a couple of stats here and a couple of on-the-ground reports here. Trump's move is paying off. ICE agents at airports have cut TSA wait times dramatically, denying Democrat doomsayers. Town Hall reporting Hartsfield-Jackson's Atlanta International Airport, the world's busiest airport, thanks to the Democrat Party shutdown, it has been plagued by insanely long wait times in security in security lines. To solve the problem, President Trump deployed ICE to replace unpaid TSA in getting travelers where they need to go in less than 24 hours. It has worked in Atlanta, where the security wait times have dropped dramatically. Lines have gone from hours to under 1 hour, sometimes mere minutes, and Democrats are furious and scaremongering like you wouldn't believe, having demonized ICE for months, calling them the Gestapo, claiming that they kill people indiscriminately. They have convinced some in their base that the mere existence of ICE agents at the airport is a threat to public safety. And that's true. That is what they did. We talked about this at length yesterday. They're scaring people into thinking that ICE is coming to shoot them at the airports. Well, guess what? Larry Krasner, the Soros-backed district attorney in Philadelphia, the one who literally said that he would arrest ICE agents in the streets of Philadelphia, now he's threatening to arrest them as well in the airports. Listen to Larry Krasner here, who's maybe one of the worst human beings in the country, to be honest with you.
This is how it works. You commit crimes within the jurisdiction that is the city and county of Philadelphia, I prosecute you. That is how it works. No, I don't take a phone call from the president saying, let him go. No, the president cannot pardon you. I'll say it again. The president cannot pardon you. And yes, I will put you in handcuffs, and I will put you in a courtroom, and if necessary, I will put you in a jail cell. If you decide to make the terrazzo floor of this airport anything like what you did in the streets of Minneapolis.
See, I want to beat the living hell out of this guy. You understand? There is a part of me where my righteous indignation becomes not so righteous, because I just want to plant one right in between his eyes, honestly. I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that to anybody in many, many years. But there's a part of me that just, when I hear him threatening our law enforcement agents and blaming them for what happened on the streets of Minnesota, and not the same. Tim Walz and Jacob Fry did exactly in Minnesota what this stupid son of a Democrat is doing in Philadelphia. Telling the people that the enemies of law and order are the law enforcement agents. Telling the people that the criminals are not the illegal aliens who killed people like Sheridan Gorman in Chicago, and the ones who are raping and pillaging and so forth, that the enemies, the criminals, are the people whose job it is to remove those people from our communities. Walz did the same thing. Get out your cameras, get out there, create a scene, make sure you get them on tape, get all those ICE agents on video, because we're going to use those videos when we prosecute them. Wait, what? Law enforcement officers are enforcing laws passed by Congress. And you're saying, make sure you mark what they're doing so that we can charge them and prosecute them for doing their jobs. Now, this stupid Krasner in Philadelphia is saying the same thing, to calling them criminals, saying, I will prosecute you if you do here what you did there. What they did there was their job. And dumb Democrat people like you ginned up the rage of the awfuls, the absolutely horrific human beings, these protesters that are not protesting, but that are actively obstructing, interfering, impeding the practice of law enforcement. They all should have been freaking batted across the back of the head with goddamn batons and then zip tied. Because when you interfere physically with the carrying out of law enforcement, you're putting your life in danger, you're putting the officer's life in danger, and you're putting the criminals that they are targeting and arresting, them in danger. It becomes a physical danger. And I think cops ought to be allowed to be cops again and physically remove these people from the equations. And if you've got to knock them down and tie them up and put them over there while they wait for the paddy wagon, then that's what you freaking do. And instead, people like this idiot are continuing to demonize the law enforcement officers for those clashes, not those who are instigating those clashes, the lunatics. I have had more than just about enough. I have had far too much of this trash and these pieces of trash. That's I'm sorry. And I'm I'm trying really, really hard to keep my pledge as far as the language goes. Trying really, really hard. And most of the time it's working. Most of the time I'm able to hold on to it. But boy, it's getting very frustrating. Like I said, you just want to throat punch some of these people. I haven't thrown somebody out of a bar in a very long time, but I did it for a while. And sometimes it makes me want to do the same thing with these people, honestly. All right, what am I doing here? Let me go back to, oh yeah, this is the other half of the SAVE Act. Let me hit this super quick. This is Greasy Gavin. I want to talk about Greasy Gavin for a second. Greasy Gavin Newsom, whose new strategy, according to him, is to be more ruthless as Democrats. We've got to be more ruthless to beat the Republicans and to beat Trump. They have to be, I don't know what that actually means. Is he going to go physically assault police officers and ICE agents as well? I don't know what ruthlessness looks like for him. But he was talking in this particular clip about the SAVE Act. And as you know, the half that we're talking about, that's Jon Husted's going to come on 1 hour from now and talk about, is to just have the voter and photo ID part separated out from the prove that you're a citizen part. Here's what Gavin Newsom said.
I don't know you know where your birth certificate is? You got to find your birth certificate. If you know where yours is, I have no clue where mine is.
Do you know where your birth certificate is?
Could you find your birth certificate?
No, I couldn't.
Could you find?
I don't know where my birth certificate is.
Do you have a passport or your birth certificate?
Passport or a birth certificate?
Passport.
Birth certificate or a passport?
Birth certificate, birth certificate.
Birth certificate. Passport.
A lot of Americans don't even have a passport. Birth certificate, birth certificate, birth certificate or passport, birth certificate.
Birth certificate, passports, birth certificate, passport, birth certificate, birth certificate,
Passport, birth certificate, passport, birth certificate, birth certificate, birth certificate.
Why are they acting like this is in some way, shape, or form difficult to do? And I'm asking that very, very seriously. I could produce my birth certificate on this console in front of me in 15 seconds. And I didn't plan this out, by the way. I'm just normal. I could walk into another room, grab my lockbox, because I'm broadcasting here from my home studio. I could grab my lockbox, my family's lockbox, which most families have, and whether you do or whether you just have a drawer or a file or whatever, they're treating people like we're in some way, shape, or form collectively as a country just a bunch of idiots. Their new tactic here is fight against the SAVE Act by pretending to be stupid, or as all of the people you just saw on your camera were Democrats, acknowledging your stupidity. But to try to project that out to the rest of the country that people are stupid, again, it's the same bigotry of low expectations that we talk about when it comes to the driver's license. They insult Black people by saying minorities, Black people can't get driver's licenses that easily, and so therefore they may be disenfranchised. As if like they can't find a DMV and they can't find a ride to the DMV. It's just so insulting. And it's just as insulting to say that, do you know where your birth certificate is? I don't know where mine is. I couldn't find my birth certificate. I wanted to. Two things. One, you're lying. Every human being who has ever been born in the United States has a birth certificate. All right. That's number one. Number two, if you did lose it for whatever reason, call your county administration building and get it. Or call the county administration building where you were born and get it. It is not that difficult. It's just part of adulting. And since voting is restricted exclusively to adults, we don't let 12-year-olds who can't find their freaking, whatever piece of documentation, they can't find their homework. No, we let adults vote. To the extent that we can call 18-year-olds adults. Quite frankly, I think we should raise the voting age to 21 because 18-year-olds, and probably to erase everything to 21. Everything. Sorry, you may disagree with that. But I think most 18-year-old kids just out of high school are still just young and dumb and stupid and figuring it all out. That's why many of them go to college, even though they don't have a college major in mind or a career plan. They go there because they still aren't done cooking. And they got to be a little bit more, marinated a little bit more in life before they can be out on their own and be expected to find things like their birth certificates. But if you're voting and you're age 18 and older and you're allowed to vote now, you've got to adult. Know where your freaking driver's license is. Know where your birth certificate is. And if you're married, at whatever age it is, know where your marriage license is. Ladies, it's not that freaking difficult. Like I said, I could walk into another room right now, pull out my family's lockbox, open it up. It's fireproof. Like, again, that's common sense for most people. And if you don't do that, think about doing that. Buy a lockbox, go online, search it up. You can use one of the whatever sites that you use and just search up, fireproof lockbox. Keep your most important documents there. You got a will? Where do you keep your will? Right? Chatters. I'll get on the chat right now. Where do you keep your will, chatters? Where do you keep your passport, if you have one? Where do you keep your marriage license, since we brought that up? Where do you keep your what are some of the other documents in there? So Social Security cards. We don't like to carry our Social Security cards, but we keep them. Keep them in an envelope in the lockbox, because when's the last time you were actually asked to show your Social Security card? Pretty much never. You need to use it for certain things, so you keep it, photocopy it, or you take a picture of it, scan it, and send it to somebody that you need to prove, identity for. You understand the point. Where do you keep all that stuff? Let me just do a little survey here. I'm very, very seriously asking this question. They're acting as if it is so impossible to get photo identification. I'm sorry, not photo identification, but to get their birth certificates and or their passports or something that proves that they're a citizen. They're acting like we're being unreasonable. Let's see. I'm just going to go into the chat here real quick and see what folks have to say about this. Oh, we got some Jim Crow stories on here too, which is outstanding. Means you guys are paying attention. That's great. Trainer Doug says, I worked at the elections and concealed carry is a valid ID. All right. Now, would that survive this SAVE Act? I don't know if that's considered, if the SAVE Act is being limited to state IDs and or driver's licenses. I don't know. That's a legit question. Jimbo says, yes, it's a state ID too. Okay. If that's the case, then good. We're golden. If you've got a concealed carry permit. I don't have one because I carry anyway, because we have, constitutional carry in the state of Ohio. So, I don't have one. I carry because I can, because we're allowed. Okay, let me get some of these answers here real quick. I think as much pain as it would be, they should also require a birth certificate, as well as considering the illegals won't have those here. Yeah. But that's the point. Birth certificates are part of the proof of citizenship when you register to vote, so that illegal aliens who won't have those things cannot register to vote. Pretty simple. That's kind of what the point is. Trainer Doug says, someone used it and we were unsure, and I called the Board of Elections and they said it was valid if the card was not expired. Okay. Oh, that's getting into the concealed carry thing. Let's see, what else do we have here? I want to get more of these questions about where your stuff is. Where do you keep your stuff? Queen Mother said, I just had to show mine to get my taxes done. So I've got comments flooding in here on like all of the different sites that we're live streaming on to right now. So it's a little bit hard to navigate. I hope you don't think I'm just unable to read. Let me backing up here a little bit to some of the other areas here. Okay. Donna says, Bob, I got Jim Crow at BJ's Wholesale, had a bunch of credits and had to prove who I was to get them. Imagine that. You got Jim Crow. Yeah. And I hope you told them how racist it was for them to ask you, White Donna. I hope you told them it is racist to ask that. That's Jim Crow. Nana Sherry, I got Jim Crowed when I get Jim Crowed when I go to my bank, who the tellers know me for years when getting taxes done and when I write a check at the store. Nana Sherry, you just aged yourself on that one. Who still writes checks at stores? If you're behind somebody who's up there writing a check at the counter or at the cashier, you got a whole bunch of people behind you who are mad. We're looking at, are you serious? Tap and swipe your card and get out of line.
And I'm not making fun of you. It's definitely an older and our older generation that does that. Let's see here. They're pointing at us, pointing us at the Democrats when they can get it done if they wanted. I stand with ICE because I stand for the pledge. All right. I'm sorry. I just want to stay on topic here if I can. That was Nana Sherry. That was Donna. Waiting to see Marino step up and call out leadership for not getting the vote done. He has. You don't have to wait very long, Ohio Patriot. Marino has stepped up. He has been one of the most vocal people online, on the floor of the Senate, in committees. He's doing it everywhere. He's been very, very vocal, which is why I've been so glad now to see Senator Husted stepping up and becoming more vocal in this as well. Jimbo, my bald A had to show ID to a tranny at Giant Eagle. Weird, because how our tranny ID is real. Well, that's a really interesting question about how tranny IDs are real. That's one of their complaints. One of their complaints is people who aren't today, as they see it, aren't today who they were born as. So how are they going to prove, that they're a citizen to be able to vote? So, and if they're changing their sex or changing their identification and trying to go back to their birth certificates and change their, assigned at birth gender, all that other crap. That's one of the reasons they're fighting it, actually. Sarah, let cops be cops again. Damn right. That is exactly what has to happen. The blame for what happened in Minnesota lies on the husk, Biden, and cackling Kamala, the husk of Biden. I think that's probably where they were going with that. Well said. Newsom could break a wet paper bag probably couldn't break a wet paper bag with a punch. No, he's about as weak as it gets. I have both. Here we go. Fungelic. I have both in my safe. Thank you. If you have had a safe, or like I said, a lockbox, hopefully one that is fireproof in the unlikely event that your house burns down and your documentation needs to be saved. Let's see. My birth certificate and my marriage license are in a fireproof box in my office. There you go. That's normal. That's normal. And Donna, people have plenty of time between now and the election to order a birth certificate if they don't know where it is. Exactly right, they do. Exactly right. Now, I'm glad you said that, Donna, because here's the other element of that. You know where they're going with this, right? They're going to delay the passage of the SAVE Act until it's very, very close to, if it ever passes, till it's very, very close to the election. And then it's going to be too late to order it, get a new one if you don't have it, register with it, and then vote on election day. They'll wait until there isn't plenty of time. If it passed right now today, we'd be able to use the argument you just made, but they're going to wait to pass it, if it gets passed at all. So they're going to use that as an excuse. I have to hold my violent side in check every day, says Macromia. Yeah, I shouldn't phrase it that way. I don't quote unquote have a violent side. I don't want people to think that I'm, a hair trigger away from going off on somebody. And when I talk about knocking people out, I used to do security. I was a bouncer at a bar, and way back in the day at the beach club in the Flats, a couple of clubs in suburban Cleveland that won't get named. But yeah, I used to have to beat people up just as a part of a job. And good Lord Almighty, I'm glad I don't do that anymore. But oh my goodness, I have to suppress just anger at screens when I see people like Krasner and some of these others saying the things they do about our law enforcement, saying the things they say about our military, saying the things that they do about us, calling us Nazis. It's just infuriating sometimes to see them, just posing as tough guys. And I just want to show them tough guy. Like I said, that's a past thing. But it's very, very frustrating. All right, let me regain my composure and I'll go back into the chat and get a couple of other things there. But before I do that, I want to remind everybody about this episode being sponsored in part by our good friends at Keeping Medicare Simple. My friend Mark King has been keeping Medicare people for nearly 40 years in Northeast Ohio. He understands what's available in Northeast Ohio with respect to, did you know that? Medicare is very complex. Did you know that? It is. A lot of different moving parts. Prescription drug coverage, different from Part A, Part B. There's so many different elements of care, transportation, vision, hearing, so many different things that go into it. It's a very complex thing to see what you're eligible for coverage for. Not every plan covers the same thing.
And not every plan that's available in Northeast Ohio is available in, say, North Central or in Central Ohio or in Southern Ohio or any part of the country. It's all very dependent on where you live. So you need to know the ins and outs of that area. And that's what Mark King has been doing for nearly 40 years in this area in Northeast Ohio. So he knows it better than anybody else. And he is not beholden to one insurance company. He represents multiple carriers because he's an independent agent and he doesn't charge you a fee. He will give you his wisdom and his advice about of all of the different options that are available to you. He'll make a recommendation that is best for you. You don't have to take that recommendation, by the way. And it just realized that the screen is covering up the phone number again there. There we go. Or the comment, I should say. But you can do whatever you want, obviously. He's just going to give you the best recommendation that he can based on your needs, your circumstances, and what's available in Northeast Ohio. And nobody knows it better, like I said, than a guy who's been doing it for nearly 40 years. Every senior that I've recommended to Mark King over the course of the last 5+ years has come back to me and said, thank you. Thank you. It was exactly what I needed. Now I understand it. And now I made the right choice. And now I'm paying less and I have better coverage, or I'm getting coverage for something that I did not have before. It's all because of Mark. And so thank you, Mark King. And all you need to do to take advantage of his wisdom and his experience is to call that number on your screen, 440-832-8936. Mark King and Keeping Medicare Simple are going to take care of you as you age into Medicare. And Mark King and his team are co-sponsors. They are partners, foundational partners of, strictly speaking, Unfiltered. So thank you, Mark, for your phenomenal dedication. Could not do this without you. Literally, quite literally, could not do this without you. All right. Don't forget, I've got Jon Husted coming up at 8:30, and I've got our video coming up at the top of the hour. A couple more quickies on the comment side, but I've got a couple more stories that I want to get to as well. Where do you keep, as you listen to these lunatics tell you how stupid they are and to kind of project how stupid they think you are, that you can't find your birth certificate? Let's watch part of this again. Then we'll ask the question.
I don't know you know where your birth certificate is? You got to find your birth certificate. If you know where yours is, I have no clue where mine is.
Do you know where your birth certificate is?
Could you find your birth certificate?
No, I couldn't.
Could you find?
I don't know where my birth certificate is.
Do you have a passport or your birth certificate?
Passport or a birth certificate.
Passport.
Birth certificate or
Okay. Yeah. You see what they're doing here. Okay. They're literally trying to project their own futility, their own ignorance, their own stupidity. They're projecting it on you because they're too stupid to know where their birth certificates are. They're saying most Americans can't either. Number one, most Americans are not stupid, because most Americans are not Democrats. We are a center-right country, and there are far more Republicans here than there are Democrats, and we need to prove that, number one. Number two, even Democrats probably know where their birth certificates are, including these idiots. That's called performative art, all right? They're play acting. Look at me. I'm the governor of California, and even I can't find my birth certificate. How's Joe the garbage man going to find his? How's Sally the dance instructor? How is she going to find hers? How's 18-year-old Timmy, who's just on his way to college, and he's going to vote for the first time this year? How's he supposed to know where his birth certificate is? I'm the governor, and I can't find mine. Are you really? That's what we're going with here? Two things. One, everybody isn't stupid like you might be. Two, if you are admitting to being that stupid, how do you expect to run for president? How can I trust you with a multi-trillion-dollar federal budget? How can I trust you with the largest military in the history of the world? How can I trust you to make an established policy for a nation of 350 million people when you're telling me that you're not capable as a grown-ass adult man, a grown adult man, you're unable to find your birth document? And you're acting like it would be really, really difficult to find it. How seriously? That's a legitimate question. How can an adult, male or female, in the United States of America rise through the ranks of, being a city councilman, to the mayor of San Francisco, to the governor of California, and now you want to be president of the United States and you can't find an identification document? Really? Is that what we're going with here? Let me know how that works out for you. We're simply not all as stupid as you are pretending to be. Like I said, I think this is all performative. Sarah, I have all of our birth certificates, social security cards, and my marriage license in an emergency info accordion file until I get a fireproof box. Bingo. That's all. That's all I got to do. But I highly recommend the fireproof box. I don't think they're that expensive. I don't know. We can probably look it up. And I say that for everybody. Seriously, just do it. Get one and protect your stuff. And if you don't have it protected right now, you still probably know where it is. Every minority and every woman should immediately be arrested because obviously they are driving without a license. By the way, I'm a minority. Well said. Exactly. The way they tell the story, they wouldn't be able to drive. I joked about that the other day. I know I can go to a health department and get a copy of my birth certificate if need be. Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of different ways to do this. It's not that difficult. In all seriousness, though, I was joking about this the other day. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking about how Black people obviously aren't allowed to. Did I say it on the air? Gosh, living my life on the air and doing live streams and then off the air. Sometimes they get confused. I might have talked about this on the air and off the air with somebody, but about how Black people are basically not allowed to move. You know what I mean? Because the way the left tells it, it's impossible for them to be able to obtain identification, in order to be able to vote. Well, if they can't obtain identification to vote, then they can't obtain identification to drive, because that's what you do. So Black people aren't allowed to drive. Black people aren't allowed to have bank accounts either. They got to keep it in a mason jar. All the money's got to go in a mason jar under a cushion or buried in the backyard, because they're not allowed to have access to a bank, because banks require identification. Did you know that prohibition is still in effect? Did you know that prohibition against alcohol is still in effect for Black people? Because when you go to a bar, if you're not gray, their responsibility is to card you. And youngish looking Black people obviously aren't going to be able to get to produce a license to prove that they're of age, so they can't drink. I posted this. Oh my gosh, because I was trying to make this point too. The lack of understanding of people. When I'm trying to be subtle, it's frustrating sometimes. I made an AI image to prove a point, and I posted on my social media. Let me see if I'm going to try to bring this up on Facebook. And maybe you saw this. If you're already following me on Facebook, thanks. Follow Strictly Speaking with Bob France on Facebook. And by the way, if you are following me on Facebook, you should be following me on Rumble too. I went from 3,000 to 33,000 followers on Facebook as soon as we started doing the live stream. But yet those same followers didn't follow me over to Rumble, in which we still have less than 2,000 followers there. So we've got to figure that out. How do we bring you from Facebook over to the Rumble side? And I think people already had Facebook accounts, but Rumble is still so new to some people, they're a little afraid of it because they don't know how to do it. Where is there it is. Okay, here we go. Take a look at this. I told AI to make a picture for me. I said, generate an image of a group of white guys raising a glass and toasting at a bar, and a soul dejected looking Black guy at the same bar. That's all I told AI to do. All right. And that was the image they created. Holy cow, they nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. 3 white guys there, beer mugs high, laughing and having a good time. Poor Black guy here, dejected looking. That's exactly what. Are you? Oh, Lordy. You should be seeing this. And it looks like the scroll. Oh, you know what? I get it. Hold on. I get it now. I have 2 different Facebook pages open. Sorry. I have 2 different Facebook pages open. And so one was displaying when I wanted the other one to display. Now you can see this, right? There it is. Okay. Apologies, working through it. So that's the AI picture that I told to make. But yeah, there's the white guys all celebrating, and here's a dejected Black guy. And I just was doing a little bit of a social experiment, kind of. And I said, what do you see happening in this picture? And the responses were kind of sort of cringy. Notice I said cringy. It's an adjective, not a noun. The guy at the bar just got engaged, and the other three are celebrating. It's not any of them. Which is kind of funny. Guy just walked in and missed last call, says Todd. I see three guys celebrating something, even if it's just Friday, and one guy sad about something, all at a bar. Yeah, that's the obvious. That's the point. Why, though, is the point that I was getting at. And I was hoping that people would be, cognizant. If you're following my very conservative political Facebook page, I'm assuming you're dialed into the news to some extent, and you might be able to figure this out. I was obviously very, very wrong. Three guys that just got the gold, silver, and bronze medal for a wrap-off war. The fourth didn't even qualify. Fourth, I think he means to say, didn't even qualify. That's funny. I see one man living in reality and three men pretending that they were living life like the gentleman not pretending. All right, that's just confusing me. Point is, very few people understood the message that I was sending here. So I ended up after the fact having to post the answer. And again, I don't know if you can read that. It's very small, probably with the picture being shared on the screen. But I said the correct answer is there's three young men who were allowed to order beers at a bar and one man who wasn't because the racist bartender asked them all to show ID. Little complex, maybe I was being just a little bit too smart, smart alecked for the room. To me, it was obvious because it was my idea. But if you watch in the news, if you understand the debate right now over the Photo ID Act or the Photo ID element of the SAVE Act, you kind of get the point here. They're saying black people can't vote because they can't get ID. And if that's the case, that means, look at the screen again, they can't drink either because they don't have ID. They can't drive, they can't drink, they can't bank. They can't. What else do you need to show your ID for? The one I did in my Bob France Road Rants. Can't buy certain drugs at the drugstore. You can't buy pseudoephedrine because if you try to buy pseudoephedrine at the drugstore, they make you show an ID because of all of the meth heads out there that use it to cook meth. So I think again the joke I was making to some other people before is black people are perpetually going to be stuffy. Stuffed up nose, post-nasal drip in the throat. Boy, why? Because I can't go get any Sudafed because they won't sell it to me because I don't have ID. And obviously, I'm saying all of this tongue-in-cheek because I'm making fun of how stupid the idiots are that think that black people can't live their lives doing all of these things because they're incapable of getting ID. But when it comes time to vote, obviously, they're willing to call black people less than, willing to call them incapable, willing to call them I don't even know what kind of other disingenuous slurs to say that black people are a little bit less able than white people. I mean, that's what the Democrats say. So they can't get their IDs. And God forbid black or white people can't get their birth certificates. And like I said, I could produce mine here in 2 seconds. If I wanted to walk away from this console and come right back in here, I could produce it. I can get the lockbox and just, here you go. It's that easy. West Sider says, let's add fingerprint verification between birth certificate and current. I am afraid that a whole new fraud service, fake birth certificates. You're going to have some problems with people wanting to be fingerprinted if you do that. I do understand your point, but I think you're going to run into some problems with people who would not be okay with that. Nana says, old school, yes, Bob, I'm going on 64. You know what? That's only a number, though, sweetheart. That is only a number. You be as young as you want to be. And I'm not that far behind you, but I'm just telling you, just old school. There you go. Old school, not old. Nana Sherry, we are old school. We are not old. There's a difference. Good job. Rhino says, I'm Mexican and I keep my documents in a lockbox. That's because you're normal. You're smart. Like most people, you're reasonable. You keep your important documents, licenses, cards, wills, trusts, certificates of deposit. If you've got CDs, important, documentation about assets. You keep those things in a safe place. And
I'm gonna have to show my ID now to vote. Okay, I'll just pull it out of my wallet. Oh, I'm gonna have to show my birth certificate to show that I am who I say I am on that ID when I register to vote. Oh, that's good. I'll have to go into the lockbox and get it. It's not the first time you've had to show those things. Charlie, I've gotten many birth certificates many times at Cleveland City Hall. Yeah, that, I mentioned the county admin building. Here in Lorain County, I feel like I went there to get my passport. You get your passport at the post office and other places too. But county admin buildings are, very good resources. You got to order something up and get a new copy printed if you have lost yours or something in a move. That happens too. Go get it. That's the other part of this. That's the other part of this that is very, very frustrating to me anyway. The fact that, like I said, they think that we don't have our birth certificates, but if there is, I remember my wife and I lost, when we moved to California back in 2000, there was a box on the moving truck that didn't make it. I don't remember what all was in it, but there was a box because when we unpacked, we were looking for it. As time went on, we were like, hey, where's the blah, blah, blah? And I'm literally just blah, blah, blahing because I don't recall what it is now, but I'm not making up the story. The story is real. There was a box missing and we're like, that was gone and that's gone. And there were a few things in that box we later on over time when we were looking for it, couldn't find, that never made it in the move for some reason. So that can happen. Maybe you're moving from one apartment to another and a box is misplaced. A folder is thrown out that you didn't realize, should have been thrown out as you're cleaning the place out, for the next tenants and blah, blah, blah. But that can happen. So if you can't find yours for a very unusual reason like that, again, it's adulting. Go get it. Go get a new one. It's not that complex. Call. You got one of these? You got a computer? Obviously, if you're watching this live stream, you do. Anybody, look it up. How can I find here? Let me do the homework. Let me do the push-ups with you or for you here. I'm going to open up a new tab in my browser and I'm going to share it. And okay, let me pull this up for you here. All right. So here's a new tab. Can you see that? Okay, yeah, you got it now. Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask my little brave browser. Oops, I hit the wrong key there. Hold on one second. What's going on? Here we go. Okay. What is this? Enable search suggestions. Okay, that's new. No, I don't need to enable search suggestions. All right, here we go. How and where can I obtain a copy of my birth certificate? All right, let's do the homework together here, everybody. How can I get a look at there, USA.gov or USA.gov. How to get a certified copy of a U.S. birth certificate. Vital check. There's another answer here. And if I wanted to be more specific, how about this? I'll amend this to I live in Ohio. How can I, in the state of Ohio, get a copy of my birth certificate? I'm probably going to get, look at that. Oh, look, AI there has answered the question at the top too. You can obtain a certified copy of your Ohio birth certificate through several methods and locations. The Ohio Department of Health, the primary agency for issuing birth certificates in Ohio. You can order one online, by mail, or in person. Look at that. County health departments. Several counties issue birth certificates for the entire state, including the list of counties there. Look at that. Cuyahoga County is one of them. Third-party services like Vital Check and U.S. birth certificates offer online ordering with expedited shipping, so you can get it quickly too. Photocopy of a valid government-issued photo ID is required with every request, so you might have to get your ID too if you don't have one of those. But you understand my point. I'm trying to make a very simple point here. Look at that. City of Cleveland, birth and death certificates. How can I get one? Look at that. Can be obtained in person, by phone, or online. It's not hard, is the point that we're trying to make here. And they're making it out to be like, oh my gosh, asking people to be able to prove that they're U.S. citizens for something is important. Damn it, the comment is still on there.
I'm sorry. That thing was probably getting in your way. Yeah, go away, comment. Go away. There we go. I keep leaving those up there. Hopefully that didn't get in the way of showing you what I wanted to show you. The point is, it's not complex. It's not hard. If you've got a phone or a computer and a connection to, the internet, you can find out how to get your birth certificate in about 2.2 seconds. All right? It's not that hard. And the idea that they're trying to make it seem like, this is some sort of exclusionary plan to stop women from voting. Republicans have women too. Not all women are awfuls. They're not all angry white female liberals. All right? Not all women are like that. Women are Republicans too. And most of the married women are Republicans. I don't have any proof of that. But would you guess, if you were to be asked, which is more likely for a married woman to be, a Republican or a liberal? Or a Democrat, rather. What do you think would be the most likely? I'm going to let that marinate for 2 seconds here and see what chatters say. I'm very serious about this. If you think about it, what is more likely is it more likely for a married woman in America today to be a Republican or a Democrat? And I'll see if anybody else is on the same wavelength I am. Chatters, I'm looking at you. And I'm waiting for you. Got all kinds of great chats going on there about the libraries, property taxes. I get mine from New Jersey along with a baptism to get married in the Catholic Church. Had to call the old church there. Got my passport through Cuyahoga County. Oh, this is what the library conversation is about, through the Cuyahoga Library branch in Mayfield Village. You can get your birth certificate online. It'll be mailed to you. It costs about $25. There you go. And that's, by the way, that's not a poll tax, by the way. That's the cost of you being irresponsible and losing your original. You got a birth certificate. Your mom and dad gave it to you and you became an adult, I'm sure. And if you lost it, that's a, hey, I got to replace that stupid tax. That's not a poll tax. I'm still waiting for people to respond to what are married women to be more likely politically. And I'll answer it myself if I have to, but I just kind of wanted to give this a chance here and let people catch up a little bit. I know there's a little bit of latency. Okay, here we go. Zelda says, it is probably only Republican women who changed their last name. Dems should be happy they won't vote because they can't figure out how to change their last names. Zelda, well done. You're on the right track, by the way, to the point I'm trying to make here. Let's see. It depends on. Hold on a second. I want to pop this up on the screen. It depends on where the woman lives. In the South, she is a Republican. Northeast, a Dem, Midwest, either. Okay. Maybe. Jimbo says depends on college education. Also maybe. Married women likely to be, says Dee Dee Bag of Donuts, Republican. That's the point I was getting at, and I'll answer why in a second. Depends on the parents, says Jimbo as well. All right. So the point that I was trying to make here is that when the left claims that requiring rather passing the SAVE Act is going to discriminate against women to stop them from voting, they're saying that because married women have a different last name, or likely have a different last name than what their birth certificate is going to show. So if they're trying to prove that they're a citizen, they're going to have to, show those two different forms of identification. They're going to have to show their birth certificate and their marriage license, and that's not fair. And so if they're right, and women are going to be not able to vote, or a significant number of women are not going to be able to, what did Chuck Schumer say? Didn't Schumer say like 6 million women are not going to be able to vote or something like that? And my point to that was that would only affect married women. And married women are more likely to be Republican women. Why do you say that, Bob? Statistically speaking, look at it. Married women are part of the nuclear family that Democrats oppose. Democrats like their women married to the government. Democrats like their women married to a welfare check. Democrats like their women married to subsidies and social programs. Charlie Kirk talked about this at length before he passed. Talked about how the Democrats married the government because the government gave out free stuff to unmarried moms, single moms. So if you've got kids in the house but no dad they're supporting, we're going to throw all kinds of stuff at you. Subsidized housing, free food. We're going to give you free clothes. We're going to give you free medical care. They encouraged people to basically not get married, especially if you're having kids. Don't be married. Don't have a husband, a father of those children in the house. And that struck disproportionately Black families, as you know. Look at the marriage rate. Look at the fatherless child rates from racial demographics. Disproportionate, not in raw overall numbers because there's more white people in the country than Black people, but from a percentage base, you are much more likely to grow up without a father if you're a racial minority, a Black kid. And what does that mean? That means that your mom didn't get married. And that means your mom probably is going to be able to register to vote with just her birth certificate because she's going to have the same name now that she had when she was born. Republican women are the ones who were born as last name Johnson and got married to Mr. Smith, and now they have to prove that they're a Smith. And if they can't do so as easily, who's going to be more harmed by the SAVE Act than Republicans? So you see that, Democrats? You should be celebrating the SAVE Act because if you truly believe it's going to make it harder for women to vote, it's going to impact Republican women a hell of a lot more than it is Democrat women who are less likely to be married because they married the government, because they married the check that came with having kids out of wedlock. So that was a long, convoluted way to get there, but I hope you understand the point. Married women are more likely to be Republican, and they're saying it's going to harm married women in terms of their ability to vote. They should be happy about that because obviously their message is, well, we know what their message is. Democrats' message is, we only want our side to be able to vote. We don't want their side to be able to vote, but we have to make sure that we are constantly being the victims. We are playing the victim card. They're trying to disenfranchise our voters, primarily minorities, and primarily, for some reason, they say women, even though Republican women are more likely to be affected by needing a driver's license, a birth certificate and a marriage license. All right, that's a lot of stuff to pack into it. I want to get to our video, but I'm not doing our video until I remind you to log on to BuckeyeBlueprint.com. My friends at Americans for Prosperity, AFP, they are more than friends. They are my business partners. They are foundational partners and supporters of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. And I'm so happy to tell you that they are taking action to help Ohio become what it should be. Ohio is in the middle of the pack when it comes to energy, when it comes to education, when it comes to economics and economic liberty and opportunities. We're in the middle of the pack. We're in the 30s, in terms of national rankings, and that's unacceptable. Americans for Prosperity want us to be Ohioans for prosperity too. That's why Americans for Prosperity Ohio is working and have developed the Buckeye Blueprint to become a bolder and better Buckeye state, to deliver affordable and reliable energy, to make American government work for the people again, to make education work for our kids. There's no reason we should be 39th in the country educationally. It's embarrassing. And ultimately, it's going to be costing us a lot now and in the future. So if you care, this isn't about politics either. It's about policies involving our kids and the future. And if you believe the state should go from the middle to the top echelon to number one in the country, get involved right now at BuckeyeBlueprint.com. BuckeyeBlueprint.com, and you can click your way through there to AFP Ohio as well. And thank you to AFP for being a foundational sponsor of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. All right. So this is what I've been promising since we started the show at 7 o'clock. I've got Senator Jon Husted coming up in about 13 minutes. So I'm going to spend the next 9.5 minutes giving you the world debut, if you will, of the Frontline Freedom Fest that we held on May 5th. I think actually the video is going to say May 6th, but it was May 5th, I believe. But that we held at McJames Sports Pub in Brook Park. Obviously, like I said, on May 5th. It was our ICE appreciation party, and it was incredible. It was incredible. We had a packed room filled with patriots who all came together. We raised money for the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association, and we, more importantly, showed our dedication and our support for our law enforcement partners. Particularly ICE agents who continue to be demonized and attacked by the radical left. So we did our Frontline Appreciation our Frontline Freedom Fest and ICE Appreciation Party, and we weren't able to live stream it as we wanted. So what we did is we asked our friend Ron Zarnecki to put a video together, to piece it together and show people what they missed. And this is what we want to share. And this is what we want to, like I said, flood the zone all over the internet with, to make sure that other people see it and hopefully get inspired to hold similar events. Our communities are stronger when our law enforcement officers know that we have their backs. And that's what this was all about. So for the next 9.5 minutes before we get to Senator Husted, let's enjoy this.
Thank you, patriots, for coming out here to celebrate freedom and to celebrate those who provide us with freedom. That is what this is all about. The goal here tonight is to create a production that we're going to flood the internet with, and we're going to make sure that people around the country are saying, I want to do one of those too. I want to have an ICE appreciation party, a Frontline Freedom Festival like this in our communities, because they set the pace in Northeast Ohio. So that's what this is about.
It's a shame that the world we live in right now has turned so political that people are actually confusing law and order with partisan politics. And I don't understand, because everybody wants to be safe.
When I heard Bob talk on the show that he was looking around to see, if there were other events like this around the country, he found none. Why do we stand with ICE? They're not lawless, but they are enforcing our laws.
The only thing that stands between us and those terrorists, look, there are a lot of fine people in the FBI, for example, local law enforcement, the sheriff, for example, all of those folks. But the people charged principally with enforcing the law in that regard and getting rid of these guys is ICE.
And that is one of the fundamental cornerstones of our republic.
And the Border Patrol agents that took us down there said this was thriving a couple months ago. Thriving community, a big hospital that had been closed down, because what happens is when they come over across the border, the Hippocratic oath, these doctors and nurses, they have to see them.
But the Biden administration and Democrats, Jeremy Raskin and all those other clowns, don't care. ICE cares. ICE is what stands between you and destruction. I'm not exaggerating. The stuff I see at the Civil Rights Commission, whatever lunacy you can comprehend, whatever lunacy you can think about, we see at the Civil Rights Commission on a regular basis.
What makes us different? We are a nation that's supposed to be ruled by laws and not men and women. But we, those of you, how many guys have been in the Tea Party for a while? You guys out there in the Tea Party? Yeah, I love you guys. What a fight. We saved this nation. We saved this nation, particularly here in Ohio, because we elected Donald Trump here in Ohio. We did that. And we still have, now we still have a fighting chance.
Why are we important? Well, we are the last line of defense. Tom Z shaking his head. To who? The federal government.
I don't know these folks at ICE. I don't know. I don't have any relationship with any of these individuals, but I know they keep me safe. They keep my children safe. They keep me safe. They keep you safe.
But let's just focus. Make sure you understand. We stand with ICE because if there is no ICE, there is no America. Without equal justice under the law, we are not a nation at all. At all. It is not a choice to stand with ICE, is it? It is a duty. It is a responsibility. It is what we as citizens must do because we ask them to enforce the laws so that we can get equal justice.
These doctors and nurses, they have to see them. So they come in there and flood the emergency rooms. No money, no insurance. So we're paying for it until it goes bankrupt. So that's what happened.
We are a long way from that, aren't we? We are a long way from that, but we're making headway. We're moving in that direction. And so you are here tonight because we are going to support ICE, but you're really here to support your own freedom and liberty and really defend our republic. That's why you're here. And when I heard Bob talk on his show that he was looking around to see, if there were other events like this around the country, he found none. He found none. But tonight, we found the first one, didn't we? We found it right here in Cleveland, Ohio. And that's why I'm so proud of you guys, because you're not afraid and you will fight for this country.
For making sure that we take care of the ICE folks, we highlight their achievements and accomplishments and the fact that they were sacrificed for America. We need ICE as much as we need air. Support them as much as you can. Thanks very much.
Somebody else in a sanctuary city or wherever they do try to come, move into Portage County. Come to Portage County. I'll stand on the sheriff's office. I'll swear you all in as deputies, and we will fight these tyrannical, crazy people. We'll do it together.
So remember, when you wear your T-shirt and people go, "Oh, where'd you get that?" Well, tell them to go to Bob's site because you can order one. All right, that would be good. All right, but get into discussion about why do you stand with ICE? Because without ICE, we don't exist.
The whistle. Don't worry, because John Tamburello, as you can see John Tamburello there, he's a member of ICE, and he's gonna do what volunteers all over the place. If you want, it's $1 a turn. All you do, our volunteers are going to spin you in a circle 5 times. You're going to have a blindfold on. If you nail the end in the spot where it goes, you get a free drink. We'll give you a free drink ticket. Hey! And a mighty wallop it was. Well done.
And so, with no further ado, hello, Americans. I'm Paul Harvey. Today's broadcast is entitled Policeman.
On your marks, get set, officers go, ICE go. Go get them, boys. Oh, they're hopping fast. Ken again is Ray Simon's agent, and he's the one who gave us these paintings to give away. So he wants a picture with the winners, and that is all kind of awesome. Can we give a round of applause to the mayor of Brook Park for helping us have this event and keeping it safe for us? And is that our police chief? Mayor and our police chief. There's the badge we're celebrating tonight, everybody. All law enforcement. Mayor Orca, thank you so much. Chief, thank you so much. We appreciate everything. And don't forget, the guy who made this happen too, and let us rent his space out for this party and this celebration of law enforcement, Adam Adonia, the owner here at McJames. Awesome room tonight, a phenomenal event, a lot of just incredible patriots. Makes me very, very humble to see so many people coming out here to do what needs to be done. Remember, our mission is to share this with everybody else around the country and share it with ICE agents. Let them know they are not hated everywhere. There are citizens coming from all over Northern Ohio to come to a room and to get together and play kids games and listen to speeches and to let them know we back them, we love them, we support them, and every ICE agent is doing the work. They're doing the work that they were called to do by the founding fathers that gave us sovereignty and by God who gave us liberty. That's what we're here for. Thank you to everybody who has been here on their behalf. I got to tell you, we tried to go live and live stream that entire event, as you know. Wow, look at that. That was incredible. We tried to carry that live, as I say, and we had some tech problems and other things like that. And so I got to tell you, I think things happen for a reason, because Ron Zarnecki, who was our film guy, our video guy for the night, took the raw footage that couldn't live stream and created that video and put that highlight together with the music and everything else. And what an amazing night that was in celebration and support of our frontline freedom warriors. And I'm talking about all law enforcement. That night we honored cops, we honored deputies, we honored troopers, and we honored federal agents, especially ICE. So that's what that was all about. And all I'm asking you to do again is to share that with as many people as possible. It's already posted right now on the Rumble page. I shared it with our insiders first, but it's on the Rumble page right now. And like I said, the goal here is and we're going to cut it up and send it out in shorts so that people can scroll and see some of the remarks made by our speakers, from Sheriff Zukowski to Tom Zawistowski from We the People Convention, to Peter Kirsanow, United States Civil Rights Commissioner, to myself. You know, there were a lot of really important things there that we wanted to share. And I feel like we did a fairly good job of it. And now the key is, like I said, to make sure that more people see it so more people do it. You know, it's very dispiriting. It's very disheartening. It's almost defeating in many ways for law enforcement to feel like they're the enemy. I just played you that clip from the DA in Philadelphia, Larry Krasner, who said, you know, if you come to our airports talking to ICE agents, you know, we will handcuff you, we will arrest you, we will try you, and there's no presidential pardon that's going to get you out of it, as if they're criminals. Why doesn't he say that to the illegal aliens that have made it necessary for ICE to be there in the first place? Not in the airports particularly, but just in general in American cities. I will die on that hill that there are only two reasons why ICE has to be ever present in all of these cities right now. Reason number one, Joseph R. Biden. Reason number two, cackling Kamala Harris. They, in their administration, allowed somewhere between 12 and 20 million illegal aliens, depending on the unknown Godaway count, to come into this country. They're the reason why President Trump has to come in here with a massive ICE force and sweep up the mess and take especially the worst first, the criminal element that are here that have charges or convictions already. These people have got to go. It is not our fault. It is literally the Democrats' fault that we have to fight this fight in the first place. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that video as much as we enjoyed, you know, having the event, the Frontline Freedom Festival event that, you know, that we put on for you. Share that with as many people as you can. And I do see the green room right now. Our guest is waiting in the wings. He is Ohio's junior senator. He is former lieutenant governor of the state of Ohio. He is Senator Jon Husted, joining us now live on Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. Senator Husted, I've got to add you to the stage there so I can see you. There you are, Senator. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Doing great. Thank you.
It's so good to have you here. I appreciate you spending some time with us.
There's a lot going on in the United States Senate that I would love to talk to you about, but there are also some things that aren't going on that I would like to talk to you about. And of course, we're talking about, getting some things done and, involving filibusters and so forth. But let's start with the good news. If we could, Senator, tomorrow you were able to negotiate getting a vote on part of the SAVE Act. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I'm going to have an amendment to the SAVE Act that would be strict photo ID. The Democrats last week, Chuck Schumer, this caught my ear. Chuck Schumer said, "Well, we don't oppose the photo ID portion of the SAVE Act." So, as a former Secretary of State, I was like, "Oh, well, if that's the case, I've got a deal for you." Because really, what I did is I took the photo ID law that Ohio has, where you say driver's license, state ID, military ID, passport, or tribal ID, or veterans ID as well. And you say, okay, that's it. Those basically 5-6 things. Then if you don't oppose it, then you should be for these things because everybody has access to at least one of those. And so I offered it as a live UC last week. The Democrats blocked it. Mm-hmm. And so Leader John Thune is going to give me a roll call vote, giving the Democrats the opportunity to support something that they said, that they're okay with. I don't expect them to do it, but this will be a way to call them out to say, hey, 80% of the American people support photo ID. By the way, they're around 10, 12 states that are represented by Democrats who have photo ID. Okay. So I don't know why they would vote against it because it's already something that they have in their states, but we'll see where they go tomorrow on this. I'm going to fight to try to get it done. And I'm hopeful that if we can persuade enough of them to get it done, then we can move on to the citizenship piece that I've been working with Senator Mike Lee on and just continue to build some momentum for all the elements of the Save America Act.
Yeah, I would very much like to just keep it together, to keep the act together, because both of them are equally important. Prove that you're a citizen first, then prove that you are who you say you are with a photo identification. But I have on the screen, just real quick for those who did not see it, Thune set up a vote to advance the Husted amendment for voter ID for Thursday. We'll be at a 60 vote threshold, unfortunately. And your quote is right there from Chuck Schumer. Our objection as Democrats is not to a photo ID. Okay, and you're right. Then let's walk it and don't talk it. If you do not oppose or object to a photo ID, then you would therefore be willing to vote for just photo ID, free of the citizenship proof part of this whole thing, Senator. So what you just pointed out is really, really important. I did not know that. You said 10 senators?
Approximately. You can go through the list. It's, they have ID provisions, Virginia, New Hampshire, Hawaii. You go through it. There's they're different. The laws are different in every state, but they have some form of photo ID. 36 states have it. 36 states have some form of ID requirement. And we resurface Democrats all over the country saying, hey, remember, go vote. Remember to bring your ID. It's like, come on, man. This is pretty simple. This is something that they should support because people are accustomed to it. We use IDs all the time. You have to use an ID. You have to use identification to get a public benefit, to get into a public building, to do almost everything, to get a job. This is not an unreasonable restriction. So we want to start here. We had a vote on the no men and women's sports over the weekend. The Democrats opposed that. So we're gonna get them on the record on every single one of these, and then also hopefully we can pass one of them, then use it as a momentum to get the whole thing done. But we're staying on it. We're trying to get this done while also prioritizing DHS funding and making sure that we can get TSA agents paid and the other things that are also important that we get accomplished.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about that too in a moment, but let me stay on the ID part of this for a second, because you just mentioned, 36 states have some form of photo identification requirement to vote. So if it's already happening in their states, why can we not codify this with the passage of this law saying for everybody in the country? This is a very important thing to prove you are who you say you are. We only need 7 of them, right? We only need 7 of them. So what I would like to know is, Senator, are you or anyone else, is anyone else on the Republican side of this thing, able to talk reasonably with any of these states or senators from states that have photo ID already, saying, you already have it in your state. Can we count on you to say, let's do this here?
Well, see, what the Democrats are doing is they're misrepresenting what's in the SAVE Act. Okay, first of all, saying things like women are not going to be able to vote if they get married, or that we're going to that we're ending the secret ballot. I mean, they use all kinds of excuses. That's why I'm trying to simplify it with my argument to them. Is like, no. You can't use any of those arguments against the amendment I'm offering. It is strict photo ID. It's something that's being used successfully all around the country. This isn't some crazy new concept. This is being implemented all around the nation. And just vote for this. Because what they're trying to do, if you're sitting on the Senate floor, which I have a lot of time to do as I preside a lot as a new member of the Senate, they're trying to use aspects of some version of the SAVE Act that they will claim creates impediments, and then they will try to conflate that into everything else that we're trying to do. It's just not true. I am trying to get this cleared up in their heads, in their minds. Eliminate their ability to make excuses about some other extraneous part of some other bill and say, no, we're going to be held to account today on the issue of photo ID. Are you with us or are you not with us? Because the American people are by an 80-20 margin.
Well, that's the key, right? They're the ones that were all big on democracy, which means majority wins. It is an 80-20 issue. And when it comes to photo identification, it is also incredibly insulting, is it not, to hear the minority leader in your chamber call this Jim Crow 2.0. What does that say about Black people? They're suggesting that Black people are less than. It's a way to stop Black people from voting. That's what Jim Crow was all about before the Civil Rights Act, before the Voting Rights Act. Is he really expecting people to believe that in 2026 Black people can't get an identification?
Well, that's of course absurd. Anybody of any gender, any color, anything is very capable of doing photo ID. It's a silly argument. It's an insulting argument, as you're right. But remember the videos that have surfaced about the Chuck Schumer of the 1990s when he stood up and said, no, we use photo IDs for everything. Photo IDs are good. We stop fraud with it. It's important that we do this. He got up on, he was giving floor speeches 3 decades ago, saying that photo ID was a good thing to stop fraud. And now that's how far left and extreme the Democrats have come, because the previous Democratic Party would have been like, okay, this is common sense. But now this modern era of Democrats, the simplest truth, photo ID, they can't be for it. I see you're going to show the video.
Yeah. I didn't mean to click play already. I just wanted to put it up on the screen though, so you could see it. But you're right. This was 1996, Senator. This was 30 years ago. Young Chuck Schumer saying we should pass the SAVE Act 30 years before it ever was.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a social security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a social security card.
Senator, that is not complex. It was very direct then. It's very direct now. Has anybody asked him, and I don't know if you ever have a chance to bump into the minority leader, but to ask him, sorry, I lost you there for a second, but to ask them, Senator Schumer, 30 years ago, you were all about showing ID to vote. What happened? Why can you not re-embrace that now?
He was getting pressed on that, and that's why he said that quote that we don't object to the photo ID. That he was trying to get himself out of that series of questioning from the media, and then he said that. And so that's why, Bob, as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, well then please let me give you the opportunity to prove that to us. So I worked with Mike Lee, who's the primary sponsor. I said, Mike, let's just let's give them a vote on strict photo ID so that we can eliminate all their other excuses. They don't like this, they don't like that. We're just going to give them the one thing that they said they support, and we're going to find out tomorrow on the floor of the U.S. Senate whether they're gonna deliver or whether they're just making excuses.
Yeah, I can't wait to see everybody. I have to answer that because, first of all, because of what he just said, we as Democrats don't object to just the photo ID part, number one. And number two, all of the list of senators that we could make here whose states already require it anyway. So how could you not vote for something that is already happening in your state? So I want to see both of those things happen. Let me move to the other half of this then, though. Let's say, just miracle of miracles, we get 7 Democrats to join you and actually pass that part of this tomorrow on a standalone vote. But we still have the citizenship aspect of this. So the claim is that it's impossible. I played a clip earlier of a montage of Democrats saying, I can't find my birth certificate. Can you? Nobody knows where their birth certificate is. So therefore, they're trying to stop people from voting or being able to register to vote. It's gaslighting at its worst, trying to convince the American people that they're incapable of finding their birth documents, for crying out loud. But can you speak specifically, Senator Husted, to that issue? What different things would be accepted for registration besides a birth certificate? We talk about the passport. Those are the 2 big ones, but there are other ways for people who have had name changes through marriage and so on and so forth. Can you just kind of lay it out how this works?
Yeah. So first of all, the things that you could use are a passport, naturalization papers, or a birth certificate. Mm-hmm. Right. And the Democrats are saying, well, if I have a name change due to marriage or something like that, we're going to prohibit people from getting their ID, getting registered to vote. Not true. So first of all, let me walk through the way it happens right now. If you get married today, you would get your driver's license name changed. And when you would go to the BMV, you would provide either a marriage license or some form of affidavit to say that this is who you are. And then you know what you can also do when you're at the BMV? Simultaneously update your voter registration. There's a motor voter law that allows that to happen. So you just do it all at the same time. That's when it happens. So it's for them to say that there's some restriction. It's just not true. So let's say you're going to do it the very first time. There is a provision in the bill that Mike Lee wrote that says that the states will establish the method in which you reconcile this, which could be the same exact process. It would be up to each state to do it the way that makes sense to them. But a marriage certificate, an affidavit attesting under penalty of law that you are who you say you are. That's how these issues get resolved. Presently, it's how the issues would get resolved under the bill. But there are other tools that we can use. There's a database at DHS that allows you to cross-match on citizenship. We use it in Ohio. I know that the Secretary of State's office cross matches with that database every 2 weeks to make sure that the voter rolls are up to date. That's another method that we could use to do this. But the Biden administration blocked states from using that database, and they had to sue to try to get access to it to clean up their voter rolls. Another approach to this would be to say the DHS has to give access to that database to the states so that they can cross-match all the data and make sure that individuals are indeed citizens. And so there are a number of ways that we can do this and improve the process. And we're willing to negotiate with Democrats on how we do it. But the bottom line is, why is this important? It says we want citizens to be the ones voting, right? Like, does anyone disagree with that? Do Democrats disagree that we should have people who aren't citizens on the voter rolls?
They do.
So these are the methods in which you do it. Please pick your method. There are many different ways that we can do this, but bottom line is we want to make sure that everyone on the voter rolls is actually a citizen.
Senator, you're 1,000% right, but the Democrats do have a problem with that rule that says only citizens can vote, and that's why they're opposing this so much. And the evidence of that is in the second half of our major conversation right now, and the struggles in this country, and that is the funding of DHS. Among the issues with respect to ICE reforms that they want to see happen in order for them to fund DHS and get the airports working again and let ICE go back to looking for illegal aliens as opposed to helping security at the airport. But among them is they don't want ICE to be able to be present near polling locations. Now, I don't know what sends more of a message than we're trying to make sure that our illegal aliens that we have registering to vote to go and corrupt our elections, we want to make sure they're not afraid to show up. Because if ICE is anywhere near the polling places, they're not going to show up. And so to me, I think they're telegraphing, making it very, very clear that there's a reason we oppose the registration part, the citizenship proof at registration part, and there's a reason we don't want ICE anywhere near polling locations. Your thoughts?
Well, I had a colleague the other day. I heard him say this on the floor. He said that he believes that that Democrats hate ICE more than they hate Ayatollahs.
I think that's true.
I was like, I don't understand. ICE. What does ICE do for us? They identify drug traffickers, human traffickers, people who commit crimes against children. And they try to find them, process them, and deport them if they're here illegally. Essentially, bring them to justice. That's what ICE does. Who is ICE? They are a third of them are law enforcement officials that came from some other form of law enforcement to work for ICE. They are our friends, families, and neighbors that protect us every day from criminal illegal aliens like the one that killed Sheridan Gorman, the freshman at Loyola of Chicago. And, we have sanctuary cities that are just letting people who are in this country illegally, who've committed a crime, they're just letting them go. Like in most places in Ohio, I've talked to police officers, even in our big cities. If in Ohio, if they arrest somebody who's in this country illegally, they will call ICE and let ICE come get them. But in sanctuary cities, they don't allow that to happen. And the Democrats don't want to fund ICE because they don't want to enforce immigration law. And I was at the border, Bob. I talked to Border Patrol officials who were there during the Biden administration on the ground at the border. And they told me, this isn't some rhetoric. This is Border Patrol agents in Texas told me that they were just told to process people, not vet them, get them in the country, process them, don't vet them. And so we have millions of people here who we don't know who is here. And they said they're not Mexican Mexican. They're from Central America. They're from China. They're from Europe. They're from all over the world. That we're just coming across the border. We don't know who's here. At a time when we have a military conflict with Iran, we should want Homeland Security funded. We should want ICE agents to go find people who've committed crimes. We should want to protect the citizens in our country. And the Democrats are blocking all of those things. And I hope that people see where they are on this, because they're not interested in protecting us, the people on the ground inside the United States.
Senator Husted, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, in my state, your state, our state of Ohio, I talked to Sheriff Jack Hall, sheriff of Lorain County. Lorain County, as you know, borders, the lake, so Mexico. Yeah. Or Mexico, excuse me, Canada, our northern border. So it's with the Turnpike and Route 2/I-90, it's a very, very, very highly trafficked hub, if you will, for illegal alien smuggling and human trafficking. So they busted a labor trafficking ring, did Sheriff Hall and his deputies back on Friday, I think it was. First thing they did was call ICE and coordinate and communicate with ICE. And you know what they found? It wasn't just, workers. They weren't just day laborers who were being brought here and exploited, by the way. This is the labor trafficking part. They were getting them hired in at prevailing wages and then paying them $5 an hour. And then the middlemen were keeping the money, the rest of the money. But because they were smuggling in these workers, one of them, come to find out, is wanted in California on rape, incest, and terrorism charges. Okay, these are dangerous people that if that particular county, my county, by the way, it happens to be Lorain County, if it was a sanctuary jurisdiction, either by county or by city or by state, this person would not have been arrested, would not have been turned over to ICE for deportation. And this person, who is a very serious threat to other people, would be, I don't know, maybe targeting the next Sheridan Gorman. You understand the point here?
Well, you're exactly right. That's what happened in Chicago with Sheridan Gorman, is that this illegal from Venezuela was arrested for shoplifting. In the past, they knew he was in the country illegally in Chicago, and they didn't turn him over to ICE officials.
Multiple arrests, they said. They let him go every single time, even though there was, even if there's a detainer, they're not gonna hold him.
And this is what ICE does. Like, they want to portray ICE as the tragic incidents that happen in Minneapolis. Okay. That's not what ICE does 99.9% of the time. They're not involved in those kinds of conflicts. What ICE is doing is they investigate crimes. They get a call from the local sheriff, the local police officer, the local police, the jail, and they will say, hey, we've got somebody here of interest. We believe that they're not in this country illegally. Do you want to come get them? And can you get them and investigate? That's what ICE does. And sanctuary cities don't allow that to happen. We're thankfully doing it in almost every place in Ohio. But guess what? If I'm here in this country illegally and I know that Chicago isn't going to do that, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Chicago. Like, I'm going to 100%. Go to a sanctuary city, and then because they know it's like an island of refuge for them, where they can commit crimes and there will be no accountability, and they could be in this country illegally, and then eventually tragedies happen. And this is why I can't. It's so hard for me to understand their hatred towards ICE, because these are the people who protect us. If people had done their job, the Laken Rileys, the Sheridan Gormans, the people like that, they'd be alive today with a bright future.
Yes, sir. 100%. That is exactly right. And so let me ask you then, how dug in are you and your colleagues on the Republican side against these reforms that are being demanded of ICE? They're not going to fund DHS. I gave you the major one. We were talking about ICE being allowed to be near polling places, but they want the masks gone. They want ICE agents to have to get a judicial warrant for every single one of the illegals that they arrest. There are already so many warrants for, and final orders of deportation. Judges have already.
There's 1.5 million final orders of deportation, judicial orders of deportation.
Right.
Look, I will rely on Tom Homan and now my former colleague, Mark Wayne Mullen, who's the head of DHS, and then obviously President Trump, to determine what reforms they want to do. They know them better than I do, so I will support whatever they support on this. But I want your listeners, viewers, to know we have been negotiating in good faith. When I say we, the Trump administration, including Tom Homan, has sat down and said, this is what we need. This is not what we need. Understand, on administrative orders versus judicial orders, they don't use administrative orders to go into homes unless they've seen the individual run into a home. So it's not that they're pursuing. So this isn't like they're using these orders to just go into every home. They're following up on actual investigations and sightings of individuals who are trying to hide from law enforcement. The administration has been very, very reasonable about trying to accommodate body cams, all of those kinds of things. But the Democrats just keep moving the ball. They keep saying, well, we'll do this. And then you say, well, we'll do that. And they're like, well, that's not enough. Now we need this. And And I'm hopeful that we're going to get this done over the next couple of days, because people are struggling with airport lines and all of those kinds of things they're frustrated by it, and it's hindering people in their travel and in their lives. But also, I also think of Sheridan Gorman and say, we also have to protect people who are out there, that we need ICE to do their job of deporting criminal illegal aliens. So there's got to be a way forward on this.
And Senator, your colleague, Senator Moreno, has made a big point about this too. There's also 260,000 families who are not having their bills paid. They're not able to meet their mortgage payment or their rent payment, their utility bills, their car payments, and so on and so forth, because they're not working. 260,000 federal workers under FEMA, or excuse me, under DHS, including FEMA, Coast Guard, Secret Service, TSA, and so on. They're not being paid. I mean, we got to pay attention to them too, don't we?
They're not being paid, and they don't make a lot of money. The average TSA agent, I think, makes $50,000 a year. You can't afford to miss paychecks. Right. When you, and by the way, I just want you to know, I'm not taking a paycheck. When the government shuts down and people who work for the government don't get paid, I don't get paid. I've set that principle. That's what I do. But you know what? My Democratic colleagues, they continue to get paid. They block the no pay provisions that Senator Kennedy offered, for example, to say, Senator Scott's offering to say, if we're going to shut down government and federal workers are not going to get paid, senators and members of Congress shouldn't get paid. I'm doing it voluntarily, but the Democrats block the fact that we try to prevent that pay from happening. And it's just another piece of hypocrisy.
You read my mind, Senator, because that's exactly where I was going with this. They're not being paid, and neither should you guys be. And I know you're not. And you're doing this. You're setting the example. And I think that is incredible. That's admirable. That's how it ought to be. But the fact that they won't do it too, when they're the reason for the shutdown in the first place, they're the ones that are demanding that ICE agents put their families in jeopardy by having their faces exposed and them being doxxed, and putting their little kids at school in jeopardy, putting their households in jeopardy, and so forth. They're the ones who are doing this, and they're the ones who continue to take payments, even though 260,000.
I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how you can say these folks who are not making a lot of money and performing a vital public service in terms of protecting us, that it's like we're just going to hold out. We're not going to, I think that one of the Democrats said they were sanguine about their position on this. It's like, what? It's just ridiculous. We shouldn't get paid if we're not going to pay other people.
No.
But we need to get them paid. Like this, the inconvenience for travelers, the security threats, the struggles that we put families through when this occurs. It's just wrong. And I'm going to be back at it. I'm hopeful. We had some of my colleagues had a nice conversation with the president. He wants to be a tough negotiator, and I'm with him on that. But we also need to get these people paid. We need to get people protected in this country.
No question. Senator, last thing, some people who are live streaming the show or watching have asked me to ask you, what can we as citizens and as voters do to help get this thing, and even just tomorrow to get the voter ID, photo ID, the Husted Amendment to get that.
Call every Democrat senator, particularly the senators in the states that already have an ID requirement, and tell them to vote for tell them that you want to restore funding to DHS, and that you want them to vote for the Husted Amendment on photo ID.
Are there any senators, Senator Husted, that you think might be a little bit more receptive and a little bit more vulnerable if we were to pound the phone lines and to pound their email inboxes with these messages?
Yeah, I think the ones in those states that already have it, it's pretty hard it's pretty hard in a state that already has a photo. I mean, look, there are states like Arizona and New Hampshire. You have to be a citizen to register it, to vote in those states. I mean,
common sense and simple then to do it at the federal level, right?
It's like, well, if it's okay for your voters in your state that you represent, why wouldn't you be for that at the national level? I don't understand.
Is there, we can do the research and look up what states require it already, but do you have anything like that? Is there a list, anything?
Well,
that your office has put out?
I think we're going to post. I think we're going to post something on that. I'll get it. I'll get that posted on my social media as soon as possible. Just to get the whole. But you know, a couple of them: Arizona, New Hampshire, Virginia. Those are some good starts of places that I know have photo ID requirements that are states that are represented by Democrats.
So those senators have no reason whatsoever to vote against the Husted amendment to pass just the photo ID part of the SAVE Act.
Yep, I think Nevada is another one. So we should be able to get this done.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll keep monitoring your social media to look for those, and I'll pass them out to everybody that I can on this end as well. And everybody who's watching right now, hopefully will do the same thing so that we can really make some noise. Is it true, by the way, some politicians and elected officials I've talked to have said that, generally speaking, a single phone call or email that comes in from a concerned citizen to an office like yours is considered to be 1,000. That for everyone who's inspired enough to write, there are 999 or so who agree but just don't take the time to write. Do you guys view a single call as being that relevant and that important to advancing whatever it is the agenda might be?
Yeah, I do, particularly if somebody like sometimes you'll get these mass emails that everybody just cuts and pastes and sends the same one. But if somebody makes an individual effort to make a call or to write a unique email, those matter to us more. Yep.
Okay, well, that's important to note, because I want people to know why this matters, to get out there, their computers or their phones and send emails off to these people, because we need to know that they're actually listening and that they there is.
I mean, look, I get a regular report of who's called, what they're calling about, what they talk about. So, and that's important to me. I assume it's important to my other colleagues, but at least it's important to me.
Well, Senator, I'm so glad we're going to get the vote tomorrow, and I don't have high hopes that it's going to actually pass, that we find 7 Democrats to go along with this, but we do need to expose them for their hypocrisy. If they are saying they're not, as Chuck Schumer did, opposed to the photo ID part of this, let's let them walk the walk and not just talk the talk, and see what happens tomorrow. But thank you for your efforts in this. Thank you for your good work, and thank you for coming on with us today. I know you're very, very busy, so we appreciate that, and hopefully we'll talk again soon, sir.
Great. Take care. He
you. There you go. That's Senator Jon Husted doing the work. It's the Husted Amendment. And by the way, what he said about he knew where I was going, talking about the TSA agents who are not being paid, all of the DHS employees who are not being paid because of the partial shutdown. He's not being paid either. That's voluntary by Jon Husted. I think Bernie Moreno is also doing the same thing. But as he pointed out, the Democrats who are responsible for the shutdown, they want their checks. They want their checks, and they're not foregoing those for anybody. They don't give a damn, is the bottom line there. All right. Really, really good stuff from the senator there. We can hope. And I'm going to do what I said, because I know he's going to do what he said. And that is post some of the states with some of the names of some of the senators that are particularly, should be particularly able to be influenced on this matter, because they are in states that already require photo identification to vote, just like our state does. I've never voted in this state without having to pull out my driver's license. So anybody in our state at the federal level who would vote against that would be saying you're voting against what your state already does. Those are the people who we need to talk to. Democrats you heard them, Arizona, Virginia, New Hampshire, Nevada. Contact the Democrat senators in those states and tell them, sir, your state rightfully requires photo identification to vote for you in that state. Can we please count on your vote to require the same thing in all states? Simple, direct, and reasonable. So that's what I'm going to do. If he posts that on his part, I'll share it on all my socials. Make sure you follow me on social media, Strictly Speaking with Bob France in some form or another. It'll say at Strict Speaking or at Strictly Speaking USA or some different variation, but you'll find it, and share it with everybody. Just like I want you to share that video with everybody as well. All right. Thank you. As we wrap, I want to remind you, as always, hit the buttons at the bottom. Let's see if I'm still sharing the screen. Yeah, I guess I am. So let me go ahead and do this. Let me put it up here for you. There we go. So you see all of the buttons there, right? Make sure that you hit the join button right there. Press that one. and let everybody know. Or I'm sorry, that's for you to specifically to get into the locals community and consider being a paid subscriber there so you can be a part of our meeting tonight. By the way, 9 o'clock sharp, we have an insiders only live stream meeting on the locals channel. So that'll be tonight. Do not forget about that. And if you want to be a part of that and be a part of our get together next week, by all means, make sure you become a supporter there in that locals community. The bell that you see here that I'm circling, that is the notifications one that subscribes you. So you'll get notified every time there's new content dropped on the channel, including live streams like this and videos and interviews. Use the tip jar if you feel so compelled. I am certainly more than receptive to receiving some support for what we're doing here as we continue to try to grow. Hit the like button that you see right there as well. And that's just on the video, so nobody has clicked like on the video. That's not cool. You should be doing that. Let's see what else. And repost and share. Okay, that's important too. See the 3 dots here? Click those 3 dots. Click share. That'll copy the URL for the show and for the channel, and then you just go into your email or your phone contact list, texting contact list, and send it. Share it with as many people as you know that are receptive to conservative ideas. The more of us, the better, obviously, for our republic. All right, thanks everybody for being a part of it today. Thanks especially to Senator Husted. Want you to go into your day. Don't forget, Insiders tonight, 9 o'clock sharp. I'll see you online. Everyone be well, be safe, and as always, stay free. See you next time. Bye-bye.